Making an archaeological discovery doesn't necessarily mean that you understand what you found. You might be able to say what it looks like and take a guess at how old it might be, but even the world's best experts don't always understand the story or purpose of whatever it is that they found. That's the theme of this video. It's full of great discoveries that have been made, but not necessarily understood. The ancient star maps of the Babylonians are a great place to start. You might not have come across them before, but we have them to thank for our horoscopes, and perhaps even the whole concept of astrology. The star maps were usually circular and flat, like these examples from the tomb of King Ashurbanipal, who was buried in what's now Iraq in the year 627 BCE. The inscriptions on the discs are in Assyrian cuneiform, and feature the months of the year and the names of significant stars in the sky along with mathematical equations that explain where to look for them. These aren't the oldest such tablets though. You have to go back 3,000 years to find those. More than 70 such tablets have been recovered by archaeologists, detailing 7,000 astronomical observations. They weren't used by scientists though. It's more likely that they were used by priests to follow movements in the heavens and interpret the mysterious will of the gods. The Babylonians recorded 18 different constellations in the skies above them, 12 of which went on to be adopted by the Greeks and remain unchanged to this day. The mystery of the Dorchester pot doesn't have anything to do with its shape or its purpose. It's a beautiful decorative object, and it's very similar to a number of Indian pipe holders in both form and decoration. The problem that scientists have with it is that it appears to be over 500 million years old, which is obviously impossible. It was found during rock blasting in Dorchester, Massachusetts, USA in 1852, broken in half by the same explosion that cracked open the rock. The pot is said to have come from around 15 feet inside the rock, which was Precambrian and hadn't been disturbed in the past. That begs the question of how such an obviously human-made object, one that looks like it belongs to the time in which it was found, could be so deep inside a prehistoric rock formation. We have no reason to doubt the people who discovered it, and there must be a logical explanation for it being there, but nobody's ever been able to come up with one. It's therefore considered to be an out-of-place artifact. You can usually rely on a museum to provide explanations for the historical artifacts that are placed on display inside them. But museums don't always have all the answers either. Take the Brunei Museum in Lambayesk, Peru, for example. There, you'll find this strange carved figure that appears to be sat on top of a bullet, or a torpedo. It's impossible not to look at it and see that it's a depiction of someone or something flying through the air. That's an unbelievable concept when you consider the fact that it's thousands of years old. Peru is a land with a rich and complex cultural history, going back to the time of the Incas and even earlier. There are many examples of hard-to-understand structures and artifacts in this place of the world, and this baffling figurine is just one of many such items that belong on that list. We have no idea what the creature, which has a human's face but an animal's tail and seems to be wearing a hat, is supposed to represent, and we certainly don't understand the object it sat upon. While we can at least understand the physical form of the Peruvian figurine, we don't even know how to start explaining this next archaeological puzzle, which was found on the Balkan Peninsula in early 2019. There, a research group led by historian Ismet Smiley found this bizarre and incredibly complex stone object on Motley Mountain in the Sharplanina mountain range. The exterior of the object is made from the same stone that forms most of the mountain range, but inside it are copper objects that appear to be modern-day transformers, fused into the stone itself. Such a formation ought to be impossible because the melting point of copper is far lower than the melting point of the stone. Any attempt to fuse copper conductors into stone like this should destroy the copper, but it hasn't done. There is zero chance that this object was created through chance or any natural process. It has not only coils, but wires, casing, insulators, and contacts. It's capable of holding voltage and must have been designed to do so. The question of who made it, how they made it, and when they made it remain unresolved. Although archaeologists don't have unanimous agreement on this, the pyramids of Giza are thought to be something like 4,600 years old. The ostrich eggshell that you'll find in Egypt's Nubian Museum in Oswan is 7,000 years old. How is it then that the pyramids appear to have been drawn onto the side of the egg almost 2,500 years before they were built? Have we got the pyramids' date badly wrong? Or are we missing something about the egg? Some people have argued that the drawings might represent the Nubian pyramids of Sudan, rather than the more famous Egyptian pyramids. But that doesn't solve the problem. Even the Nubian pyramids aren't as old as this egg is. Our current understanding of the pyramid's age comes from the carbon dating of objects found around them in the remains of ancient villages, such as traces of bread in an old fire pit. That might be where a mistake has been made. It's possible that the pyramids were standing long before villages were built around them. Based on the evidence of the Oswan egg, we might have to rewrite history. There are a few historical inventors who claim to have come up with the idea of the bicycle, but the earliest accepted date for the creation of the vehicle is 1817, when the draisine was invented in Germany. They didn't become popular or widely used until the 1860s, which is when the word bicycle was coined for the contraptions in France. Therefore, it flies in the face of logic and the established narrative of human history that this carving exists on the walls of an ancient Indian temple. You'll find it in Panchavarnaswamy Temple in Tamil Nadu, where anyone's welcome to come and look at it. And there's no debate that the figure shown in the carving is riding a bicycle. That's a massive problem for historians, because the temple is 2,000 years old. It might have been put there at a later date as a joke, but it's unlikely that anyone would be allowed to deface such an ancient and sacred place in that manner. Is it possible that humans invented the bicycle thousands of years ago, forgot all about it, and then came up with the same idea again during the 19th century? It's said that Africa was the birthplace of humanity, and if that's the case, is the Coldstream Stone the world's first work of art? Some people believe that to be the case. The incredibly well-preserved stone was found a little over a century ago in a rock shelter close to the Lottering River in South Africa. Upon it, 3 human figures have been painted in different colors, with the scene appearing to depict hunting activity. The shelter it was found in was around 2 feet below the ground, and very humid and damp because of the river. That should have eroded the stone and destroyed the painting centuries ago, but somehow it's managed to survive the passing of time almost totally unscathed. It's in such good condition that some people have even accused it of being a forgery, but it appears to be genuine. Other artifacts found at the same location are eroded and battered by time, so the Coldstream Stone's pristine state is a mystery that defies explanation. Of course, it's possible that someone might have buried it much closer to the time it was discovered, but why would anyone do such a thing with an ancient artifact? There are 2 ways of interpreting our next artifact, which was found in Russia's Kaluga region during the 1990s. The first is as the fossil of an ancient sea creature known as a crinoid. The second is as a screw, made by human hands. The scientists would prefer you to believe the first interpretation rather than the second, because the object is 300 million years old. The same research team who found the rock and the strange object inside it claim that they have X-rayed their discovery and found that there's a second screw shape hidden in the rock. There's some controversy around their claims though, as they've never allowed anybody else to examine the artifact. It would be easy to dismiss the idea that it's an ancient screw and believe the crinoid theory, but the problem in doing so is that it would be very unusual for a crinoid to reach this size. To those who believe in such things, the screw is evidence of either time travel or aliens visiting Earth millions of years ago. Those of you who were around during the 1970s might remember the Betz sphere making headlines all over the world. The steel ball got its name because it was found by the Betz family, who lived in St. George Island, Florida, USA, and discovered it in their garden after a storm. The bowling ball-sized object immediately caught their eye, and so they took it inside to take a better look at it. Initially, they thought it was a cannonball, possibly a relic of the Spanish missions of the 16th century. That theory only lasted until Terry Betts picked up his guitar and started playing, and the sphere started playing his own music back to him. That was strange. What was even stranger was that the ball would roll when it was placed on a table, but stop before it got to the edge, as if it knew the edge was there. These mysterious properties got lots of people very excited about the possibility that it was an alien artifact. It's since been speculated that it's a valve ball of the type used in factory pipes, and it echoes music because of its hollow design. But where's the fun in believing that? In 1897, the statue now known as the Lady of Elche appeared overnight on a private estate in Valencia, Spain. Nobody knows how she got there, and she wasn't there the day before she was found. Because of its good condition, it was initially believed that the statue was brand new and might have been intended as a gift. But that theory was quickly dispelled after scientists got the chance to take a look at it. The statue is actually a funeral urn and contains the ash of a human body that was cremated about 2,500 years ago. The statue itself is also around that old, so the question of where it spent the 2,400 years before its sudden and dramatic appearance in Valencia is a puzzling one. It's now on public display in Madrid, where a number of rumors and superstitions have built up around it. Some people even say that if you look into its strangely piercing eyes for too long, you'll go mad. We're not sure about that, but we'll suggest that you don't look at these pictures too hard, just in case it's true. Experts believe that the 40,000-year-old bracelet that was discovered in the Denisova cave of Siberia in 2008 is the oldest piece of stone jewelry ever found anywhere in the world. That alone would make it historically significant, but there's an element of its design that changes its status from significant to incredible, based on a hole in the bracelet. Scientists have been forced to conclude that it was created using a high-rotation drill. Of course, that would mean that the humans living in Siberia 40,000 years ago were familiar with the concept of drills and had the ability to make them. There's no evidence of drills being used during this time anywhere else on the planet, but there's also no chance that this artifact is fake or that it's been incorrectly dated. As is so often the case, it appears that historians may have seriously underestimated the skills and capacities of our ancient ancestors. If they could make jewelry with drills, what else might they have been capable of making? Speaking of ancient people having impressive cutting and drilling skills, how do we imagine that the Al-Nasla rock formation in Saudi Arabia was created? If it weren't for the fact that it was standing in the middle of a desert, we might consider this a work of art. It even looks like it's been deliberately mounted on a pedestal, so people could admire it. And who's to say that it hasn't? The inscriptions on the sides of the rock date it to around 4,000 years ago, and the vertical cut that separates the rock into two halves was created around that time as well. Cutting through rock wasn't impossible for the people of that time, but doing it in such a clean fashion, with the lines so perfectly straight and the sides so smooth that they look as if a laser cut them, should have been. Some scientists prefer to say that this is a freak natural occurrence caused by nothing more remarkable than weathering, but that seems unbelievable to many of the people who've seen it with their own eyes. We think we agree with them. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and enjoy watching new videos on my channel. Thanks for watching, and see you soon!